Hello, thanks for your company. Today, the second Frenchman ever to win an Oscar for Best Director. He's most famous for The Artist. The movie's triumph started at the Cannes Film Festival and ended on Oscar night in 2012. Until now, comedy has been his thing, but his new film, The Search, is very different, a hugely ambitious epic about the Chechen conflict. It's a remake of the 1948 Fred Zinnemann movie and stars the director's wife, Berenice Bejo, and Annette Benning. Let's go and meet Michel Hazanavicius. Michel, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. Now, until now, your focus has been on comedy. The Search is a big change. Why this departure?
Because I had the desire to make that movie, not especially that kind of movie, but that very specific movie, and about that subject, the war in Chechnya, and it's a very difficult movie to make, first to finance and also to direct. And so thanks to the Oscar, I had the opportunity to make it, so I decided to make it.
Okay, in a second we'll talk about the story, but first we're going to take a look at the film.
From the beginning, the testimonies have been about absolutely inhuman violence. Whole villages are being destroyed. Whole families are just wiped out. And then you never know why there's a kid who makes it. Some of them are so little that it's just a miracle sometimes. Usually, kids are just taken in by the community.
What should the European Union be doing first?
Everything is urgent. The people need everything.
Tu veux venir?
Well, from the trailer, you get a bit of an idea of the film. Tell us what you think the story is in your own words.
Well, it's a kaleidoscope story. There's four different characters, and they all have their own story. And it's for destiny in a conflict situation, in the war situation, and they all try to survive in a way. And so you have one story, the story of the kid, the small kid you just saw in the trailer, and he has big trauma at the beginning of the movie. His parents are killed in front of his eyes, and so his story is about how he will go back to life, and it's the rehumanization of the character. And on the other side, there's the story of the soldier, the Russian soldier, and it's exactly the opposite. He's barely older than the kid. He's like maybe 19 years old, and it's the story of a dehumanization, how a young kid can become a killer.
It has very powerful moments in it. I cried at least twice. The beginning is particularly strong. It actually draws inspiration from an old film from 1948, Fred Zinnemann's film, the same title, The Search. We'll talk about that in a moment, but we've got a clip from the film.
Where is my mother? I have a mother. I know I have a mother. Where is she?
Look, I can't. It's difficult to...
Why don't you tell me? You know where she is. I'm sure you know.
What else can you do with him?
I could take him to America.
Are you kidding?
Why not?
Why not?
Sure, reconstruct a kid's life for a change instead of a bridge. Not a bad idea.
Sentimental sucker, the first kid that comes along and looks at you with his big blue eyes.
All right! I'm a sucker.
That was a clip from the 1948 film, The Search. Why did you want to do a new version of that film?
Well, I didn't want to do a new version of this film. I want to talk about the war in Chechnya, and then I discovered this movie, and I realized that it was a very good way to talk about a difficult subject. And what Zinnemann did, and he did great, was to make a very popular movie, a movie for people. It's not a documentary, it's a feature movie, and about a difficult subject. And this is exactly what I wanted to do. So that's why I took this movie, and it's a free adaptation of the movie.
And why the conflict in Chechnya then?
Because it's one of the most violent of the end of the 20th century, and it's very exemplar of how violent this kind of asymmetric war, as we call them, can be. And also, there's no movie about war in Chechnya. I think it's the first movie about this conflict, and it's maybe 300,000 people who died, and most of them were civilian. And the international community didn't do a thing. So
is it your way of sort of trying to highlight it to the international community?
Well, I don't know if a movie can be useful. I'm not sure of that. But at least if we can create some empathy about these people, because everywhere in the world, I mean, at least in France, if you say Chechen, people will answer terrorist, which is, of course, untrue. And they think it's a country and the people was terrorist. And so this is very unfair. And so maybe a movie can create that, an empathy, just to show that these people are human beings and they deserve respect and dignity as any human being.
And the film focuses on a little boy, but it also focuses, as you said, on a youth who's sort of a teenager who becomes a soldier, and we see that journey. He's kind of like a regular guy walking on the street, and then he becomes a killing machine. Is that your way of saying that any of us could become like that?
Yes, in a way, yes. It's not just about that, but it's also about the balance of the movie. I couldn't make, as the first movie was, a too much sentimental movie. I think this war is so violent that I had to have some violent sequence just to have the flavor of the war. But you're right. I mean, in his story, the story of this young guy who becomes a soldier and then a killer, he always have a very, very small choice. I mean, you always think he could rebel or against the hierarchy, but actually he can't do it. So with small twist situation, he becomes a killer. And I think of course, it's very difficult to judge him, even if in a moral way, of course, you judge his acts.
And there were 2 screenings of the film at the Cannes Film Festival, which is an enormously important place for your story. It's where The Artist was screened a few years ago. The press screening and the public screening had very different reactions. And what was that like for you?
It was like a roller coaster, because the first screening was the press screening, and some Russian journalists actually whistled and booed the movie, and so it was very...
Were you shocked by that?
Yeah, exactly. It was very shocking for me, because I was not sure they were Russian at first. And people told me they were Russian journalists, but you don't know if it's true or not. So you just think they just booed the movie. So the movie is that bad, and so yes, it's shocking. And the evening when we went to the public screening, and we were on the tapis rouge, I had the feeling that I was going to be killed. Yeah. And I think if they boo the movie, that's going to be very difficult for me.
They didn't, did they?
No, we have the biggest standing ovation of the festival. People applauded the movie for almost 15 minutes. So it was a very strange day for us.
And you know the main actress in the film pretty well, Berenice Bejo. You're married to her.
Not married, because we're French, but it's almost the same, yes.
Okay, well, you're a couple. It's the 3rd time you filmed with her. Was this very different?
Yeah, but it was different because of the subject and because the immersion this movie asked us. And we spent 6 months in Georgia, in Caucasus, so it was a very tough movie and very difficult movie to make. But it's always really a pleasure to work with her. She's a wonderful actress and a wonderful woman. So.
That explains a lot. Another actor you like to work with is Jean Dujardin. He won the Best Actor Oscar, the first Frenchman to ever win that for The Artist. What do you like about him?
What do I like about him?
You work with him a lot.
Well, he's a wonderful woman as well. No, I think he's a great actor, and especially in that kind of movie when you have to, to act a little bit and to push a little bit things. I think he's in that kind of acting. I think is really the best. In the other kind, he's really good. He's a great actor anyway, but in this very specific way, kind of acting is really the best. And he's a good guy, and I mean it's really nice and cool to work with him. You have fun and you make good stuff, so it's good.
And in The Artist, you went to the Oscars, all the way to the Oscars together. You became the second French director to ever win the Oscar for Best Director. And what was that like? Were you surprised? Did you expect it?
No. Well, when we started the movie, of course, it was no question. It was out of you don't even dream about that kind of recognition. So, but then when the Oscar campaign, when Harvey Weinstein came into
you're
the
on
race,
winner when he arrived.
No, we thought it's doable because he's the best at this game. So he really created all this thing, and people really loved the movie, and it just happened, and it was like it's a fairy tale, really. So you don't necessarily believe what people say to you, and of course you don't believe you're the best this or the best that, but you're very happy that people love the movie. So it's really a nice story.
Okay, well, congratulations, Michel. Thank you so much for coming in and speaking to us here on France 24. And a reminder for you guys at home, The Search is out in France on the 26th of November. Remember our website. We're also on Twitter and Facebook. There's more news coming up on France 24 after this.